It's ready to go for Paxton. So you can just hit the down arrow here. We'll make it move. All right. Let's get started.
Yeah, so I did Collins chapter 21. It's called The Empire Revived. And in Italy, seaborne raids were a serious problem at the time in the Mediterranean Sea. And the Balearic Islands looked to the Frankish people for protection against the raids around 799. And during the 9th century, they had been under Arab control. And also during this time in the 9th century, Viking raids were escalating, and in the south, Arab pirates were demonstrating similar tactics. And some of these raids were in search of slaves, as with some similar tactics used before of holding slaves ransom. And raids soon expanded to Sardinia, and in other parts of mainland Italy. And raids in Italy were organized by the Ghalibad dynasty. And around 751, the Arabs continued their half-a-century raids on the Italian mainland, which consistently increased and was intense. And with the Arab threats, the papal relations during the 9th century tried to use their position of power to get rulers to commit to defending Rome. And the conflicts during 871 to 881 focused on Charles the Fat, that's literally his name, and the Viking threats in the north, obviously. And this weakened the Carolingians' military, and there were lots of changes in the Byzantine Empire in the mid-9th century in Naples. Amalfi, and I can't even pronounce that.
Gaeta.
And Gaeta were still a part of the empire, however, they were in control of their own affairs. The Emperor Louis II of the Romans died and had no male heir in 875, and the result of this was Italy's ties to the dynasty and papacy was weakened because of the death of the Carolingian leader. There always seemed to be conflict between the papal claims and the Byzantine bishops. And in Germany, there was change caused by the death of the 18-year-old child, which left a void in Germany. That's weird. They would have an 18-year-old child in charge. And changes, well, yet again, this is medieval, but still, so. And, yeah, technically.
Well, yeah.
This charge of the entire country is a bit much.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
As long as you don't blame me.
Yeah, so, and anyways, changes continued in East Francia with military growth and threats, and the branch of the Carolingian dynasty was in jeopardy of its very existence. And the Moravian kingdom was the most powerful in the eastern Frankish area, and however, it collapsed very quickly at the end of the 9th century, like most so-called empires at this time were of the Middle Ages. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
And both the Huns and the Avars had sophisticated societies and excellent social cohesiveness with the nomads, and the Magyars killed many bishops during a raid in the Julian Alps, and the Magyars once had a truce with Henry but resumed attacks again in 933, and in the early 930s there was a decline of threat from the Magyars, and John the 12th experienced support of the reformed monasticism. And during this time, there was also reform of the monastic life. However, during John the 10th papacy, there was a decline in territorial power. And this guy is Otto the First, and Otto the First entered into a new time period known as Ottonianum, and the emperor gave privileges to the papacy. And however, the privileges came with a great price because the pope was then obligated to recognize the emperor as the head authority over all the territories and land. And Otto II was forced into battle with Germany and basically lost Ottonian control of southern Italy, and he also did not have much hope of gaining the Byzantine islands in the southern part of Italy. And he was also responsible for a great loss caused by the Arabs at Stilo, which he himself narrowly escaped being captured by the Arabs themselves. And he had plans against the Danes and the Slavs, which are Eastern, European tribes, kind of similar to how the Celts were to Ireland and the Germanics were to Germany. So, and even the Norse were, the Vikings were to Scandinavia. But anyways, but he never saw them happen because he died in Rome in 983, and he was 28 years old, and his son, that was 3. Wow. There was always some kind of connection between the Pope and the Emperor. The Christian faith was spread under the reign of Otto III. Otto III's reign had Byzantine influences, and he had the challenge of trying to impose his authority on the Slavs, Danes, Magyars, or Western Franks. And he also had to be concerned about the Italian affairs, obviously. And Otto III went back to Germany, and then in 977 he returned to Gregory. And then there was a revolt in Rome in the year 1001. And this was not a good time because, not the best of times, because both the Emperor and the Pope were forced to flee the city. And in the midst of all this, Otto got sick with malaria and died in January 1002. And there had been hope that Otto III was going to bring cultural and military strength to the Roman Empire. And that's it.
Oh, okay. Any questions there?
Sure.
So it was, I think it was Charles the Fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you just weigh a lot, or did you know why they called him fat? Or
Probably just because, he was fat,
just fat?
What can we say?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.